Welcome to
Split the Defense,
where Jordan Webster, Ted Evans, and Craig Pearce talk about the NHL and all things hockey.
Split the Defense
Can be found wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. It's also broadcasted on Amherst Island Radio, 101.3 FM, and online at CJAI.CA.
Welcome to Split the Defense Hockey Podcast. Jordan Webster, Craig Pearce, producer Ted Evans, welcoming listeners from Greater Kingston area as we broadcast from the Chumley's Kingston Tower of Power on Amherst Island Radio, 101.3 FM, CJAI, and CJAI.CA. We're going to get into Leafs, Fronts, and Avs today, boys. We have news on all three topics. Why don't we go ahead and start with the Leafs?
All right, yeah, we got a tweet here, Leafs PR. The Leafs have recalled William Lagesson from the Marlies, and forward Fraser Minton has been reassigned to the Kamloops Blazers. What do you think about that, boys? Yeah.
It finally happened.
I
knew it was going to happen. Yeah, didn't even get the 9 games. Did he get 3?
Yeah, 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been sitting, too, for a few days, so I'm sure he's probably happy just to get more ice time, really, to go back down there, because it's no fun not playing any games.
He's getting paid, and he's hanging out in an NHL facility. I can't imagine he's complaining.
Yeah, but also, like, you got to look at his future. I'm sure he's a smart kid. He's probably thinking about next summer was really his time to shine anyway, so all of this has just been, extra money in the bank, so.
Yeah, a little bit of gravy.
That's right.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I mean, it was kind of warranted. It was needed because Jake McCabe is hurt, and he's not hurt enough to go on LTIR, right? Because you have to miss like 20 games or something to go on LTIR, or 20 days and 10 games, I think is what
There's
it is.
2 different LTIRs. I forget what there's a shorter one than that.
It's ITR, but you don't get cap relief for that.
I think you can make emergency recalls, though.
Emergency recall, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Leafs, they recalled that William Lagesson, and I'm stoked about William Lagesson. If we talked about him in the preseason, William Lagesson looked like a guy that could do it. He was all over pucks all over the place. I get it. It's preseason competition. It's other teams' rookies. But William Lagesson was the man when he was on the ice. I remember thinking, that's the guy. Like, Connor Timmins obviously was the guy until he got hurt. But if there was going to be an underrated guy to come up and take a defense spot, I thought it was William Lagesson. And I was really excited to see him in that game. I didn't notice him, and I think that's the best part, because when you don't notice a defenseman, that's kind of when you want them. That's kind of when you like them the most. If you notice them, it better be in the good way. Because if you're noticing them bad, then obviously they're not doing well. But I didn't really notice him. I mean, I saw his name come up a few times, but he was fine. He did his thing.
Yeah, I actually kind of forgot he was playing at certain points of the game, because same as you, I didn't notice him at all, and that is sometimes a good thing. He ended up playing only 11 minutes, because down the stretch, he wasn't really playing that much, really. Sheldon Keefe just went with his top 4 guys. I mean, it means
5.
Sorry, what's that?
Because he only had 5.
Yeah, losing a guy early, like, that's
and he only played
tough.
11 minutes.
Yeah, that just shows you, right? Like, Sheldon Keefe was going with the guys.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. I got a clip here for you guys to listen to, some feelings from Sammy. Listen to this clip. I think you'll like this.
Like, if I'm sad, I feel great. It's not the true, yeah? I feel shit, but it's a piece in my life. And, like, I'm a guy who will be fighting for this. I will be fighting every day. This is just not my time, last 3 games, yeah? But I know I'm better goalie than this.
When you're feeling bad like that, who do you...
So yeah, that's great, eh? What do you think about that, CP? The goalie battle there and Sammy's feelings on his spot?
Like, I'd like to start with just like, I love the honesty. That's something. It's a breath of fresh air, really, from most NHL players, because most guys will just do whatever they can to talk around it and not mention like that they're actually real people dealing with real emotions.
I don't know. Jack Campbell certainly showed it. He's been made comparison to the Russian Jack Campbell.
That's true, actually. Yeah, Jack Campbell was a guy. He was more post game, just like based on the performance. But this is a guy that's really, yeah. He Sammy though is really showing you that it's a mental struggle for him, and I think that's not something to take lightly, and it's a big deal to come out and say that to the media.
I heard them bring up on the Steve Dangle podcast that being outspoken is just a Russian to English thing, that they just leave it all on the table. They're not afraid to say whatever, and that comes from Nikita Zadorov recently ripping up the Calgary Flames in his last 2 media availabilities. First time saying that the room is divided, and the last time saying that he doesn't blame the fans for booing the team because they're playing like crap. So that's just kind of a Russian thing. Sammy just saying like whatever. I'll just say it if I feel it.
What is he saying? He's saying he's not being rude. He's just Russian, kind of thing. No.
I think that's just they're maybe their media training. They just don't care. Maybe it's a language thing, but it seems to be that Russian players, when you ask them questions, there's a lot more of them that will just answer it truthfully, which we love as fans and media. The organization, on the other hand, is probably like, okay, stop it, slow down, right?
Especially in the Zadorov. The Zadorov situation is quite different because he's basically just like joining the fans and booing. He might as well just boo his own team, right? Versus Sammy, at least, is just talking about himself. But it might be a culture thing where they're just way more like willing to say whatever they're feeling, and it's great for quotes and shows like ours.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
We got another Sammy clip from Monday. This one's from Monday, guys.
Hard road trip for me. Yes, it's true. Yeah, but I'm happy to be home. Like a little bit rest my brain last night. Yeah, and today again back to work. I'm enjoying to be here. Yeah, so good. Everything is good. I feel like I'm in the right way right now. Everything is good. Like a lot of positive things. Yeah.
Do you feel like you can look?
So
a lot's changed, and lots of change.
That's quite the difference, eh?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean he played Saturday. He only let in a couple of goals. He let in 3. Was that the end, or did he let in 2?
3.
The third was an empty net. Yeah, third. Yes, so 3.
Yeah.
It's not 4 and 5 like he was letting in before. So he tightened it up. He made us some good saves. That Ryan O'Reilly shot was weak.
Yeah, same with the Yossi one at the end. Like that's from distance, and he's been having trouble with that. Both goals, I think, were amateurish. I don't think either should have gone in. Gio took the blame for the first one, the Ryan O'Reilly one, but come on, that's just Gio being a taken one for the team because the 5-hole was wide open. It's not a simple mistake. Like that's something that elite goalies don't do. And it's worry. Like I'm worried about Sammy because this is an improvement, but it's improving from really bad results previously. This would be a game if he was on track, he'd probably be singing a different tune because I don't think he should be happy about his performance really.
No, I guess.
We're talking baby steps here, and so it is good that he's looking a bit better. But I don't think that was I think many goalies could have had that performance. That wasn't something outstanding, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, Keith had something to say. Why don't we play Keith's clip? Because I can say my part, but...
Yeah, we've heard from you two, the experts. Let's hear from the coach.
He should feel good about it. I thought he looked good. He looked solid. There's a few really good chances there that he looked like Sammy of last season. So I thought it's a good effort from him tonight. He did his job, give us a chance to win the game. We just didn't score enough for him.
You mentioned the fatigue. Does that play into the too many men stuff there? Or?
I'm going to pretend that it did. It's just... one guy coming off and 2 guys going on. So, that stuff does tend to happen when fatigue is a factor and hasn't been an issue for us in any other game. So we'll chalk it up to that.
That's good. Chalk it up to that, eh?
Yeah, so that was kind of 2 and 1. So he liked Sammy's performance. He didn't trash him this time. And, he's openly been hard on Sammy and praised Wool. Done nothing but praise Wool, which deservedly so. Wool's been great. But he's definitely publicly called out Sammy before, and we've spoken about this here on the show. He's not a huge fan of goalies, right? Or
in
goalie
general,
coaches.
not really.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for him to come out and say that, it could be PR cleanup.
Yeah.
It also could be that, like, he did see a lot of good things from Sammy, and he's working his way back and through it. And, you know, like we said, goalies are voodoo. Things could change so quickly. So this whole thing could flip on its head, and Woll could be terrible, and Sammy the clear number one by December. Like, it's going to take 2 weeks of, you know, the deciding here. And if somebody plays terribly, which we don't know if they will yet, over the next 2 weeks, that'll just be decided.
Yeah, I think the bar in Toronto is just so low at the moment for goalies. Because, like, the truth is that on Saturday, both teams played okay. The Leafs players played better, but Nashville had the way better goalie. And that's just how it is. UC Saros
but he's in one of the group of like 8. There's only like 8 great goalies. You don't go top 10 goalies in the league. You go like top 9 or top 8 because there's only 8. Like we could sit here and list them. You've got Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Saros. You're starting to get down. Like who are the greatest goalies in the league? Craig, give me some more. There was Ullmark was last year.
Yeah,
he's in that elite squad. Ottinger, he's probably one of those elite. I mean, you don't have
Georgiev, I guess, is right at the moment.
I don't think he's in that elite. Like,
I'd
much as we want a fan,
Yeah.
show it. Yeah, I'd take him too. I'd take him over Sammy. But in that elite, if you guys were to had to pick a goalie to start your franchise around, he's not one of those guys, right? And Saros is one of those guys. He's one of the guys that's crappy team, good goalie, so they're mid, right? There's been a few teams like that. And Saros is legit. Hellebuck, he's another one. So, I mean, you're kind of getting like 6, 7. That's where
this is a good team with shit goalies. And it's been that way for a while. And like since Cujo, basically, this is a team that hasn't had a goalie. And Freddie Anderson was okay, but he wasn't anything to write home about. And now we're just talking about like he's looking okay. Bad. Yeah, but like now we're talking about a goalie that's just okay, and we're talking about a team that's looking really good. And so, like, I don't want this to be the reason that this isn't a good Leafs team. Like, let's just go out and get a goalie because like we don't really have one.
The Colorado didn't need a goalie; they just went and did the damn thing.
Yeah, but we were elite. We were something else.
Oh, what are you trying to say? Whoa, slow your roll. Pump the brakes there.
No, I'll say it.
Yeah, I know. You guys were deep. It was a one shot.
But it was something else. Like we're not the team this year isn't even the team we were that year. So that team was something else.
It's true.
But yeah, Keefe on the game, right?
Yeah, sure.
Let's hear this.
Yep.
I thought it was similar to Dallas. I mean, like an excellent first period. Obviously, the difference from Dallas is, we thought we had more chances to score tonight than we did in the first period, and we weren't able to build a lead. And then it's tough. It's tough from there. At the end of a long trip that fatigue is going to become a factor, and then when you lose another defenseman, that's enhanced even more the challenges with the fatigue. But all in all, that's an important point for us. I liked how our guys stayed with it. A few posts, a few missed breakaways. They're just that close to be able to get another two here tonight. But I think there's a lot of good things to take away from this game and really through this trip. There's a lot of good things that we can take back home with us.
How would you describe it?
Some good takeaways, Webby?
Well, I just hate that like Nashville is mid of mid, and like the Leafs, they play to their opponent. So
Always.
They could literally play like, in Chell, the all-time All-Stars that we played the other night, and it was like Gretzky and Messier and Howe and Beliveau and like just all-time All-Stars, and he could play that team. The Leafs could play that team, and they would match them. They'd probably stick with them. I'm not even joking you. They'd be like, yeah, we can game with you. But then they go and they play like a terrible, horrible bottom of the league team struggling, and they're like, oh, so do we. Da-da-da. Struggle. Like, why? Every single time do they play down to their opponent. So I don't know, like, yeah, there's a lot of good things, and yeah, posts and bounces, and I mean, it's a piece of vulcanized rubber played by men with knife shoes on ice. So give me a break. It's going to be crazy and a little sketchy out there sometimes. I understand that. Play as good as you can play all the time is all I'm saying. It's kind of annoying watching them lose that game when you know they should have won it. Especially like Keith said, they had more chances in this game than they did in Dallas, and they just smoked Dallas. So like I don't know. This team just drives me nuts.
Yeah, there wasn't a metric that they didn't win on Saturday as far as like playing,
except for the goals.
Except for the goal part, yeah, which is the important one. And it just seems like they had a goalie that stood on their head a little bit, and I felt like he was unstoppable at some points.
Oh, it's so tired though. At least it wasn't goalied by a backup goalie this time. At least we got goalied by one of the legit goalies. I'm okay with that. It's when like somebody like Scott Wedgwood comes in and if he was to goalie us, it's like
and that happens way too often.
Way too often. Like, oh, we're hearing this guy. It's his third NHL game, 12th NHL game, and the Leafs got goalied. Like, oh my God, it drives me absolutely nuts. So
yeah. I feel that, boys.
They got a point anyways. Do you see Gio holding out at the end there for the point? Didn't even skate it up the ice. Like last 12 seconds, he just ragged it in his own end. You get a penalty for that in Chell this year.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you rag the puck behind your net and like just do silly stuff with it and don't let the other team touch it, you can get a penalty.
Oh, well.
EA
we're pretty good at for like
changing the rules on you.
Yeah.
I think both teams wanted the point. That was very important. They're in different divisions too.
Yeah, and that's so you can do that. If it's in your division, you try and get the win. But if it's not, let's each take a point home.
Yeah, that's one of the unwritten rules of the NHL is that you agree with the last 2 minutes that we're basically, unless you give me a breakaway, we're just going for a tie.
Yeah. All right, guys, we need to talk about your D. Timothy Liljegren. He was not at the game on Saturday, but due to an injury. But he's back at practice today. Is that good? Yeah. Good thing, CP? Yeah.
Yo, big time. I mean, it quickly went from we were hoping. At first, we thought McCabe was the issue on this D, and then we were praying for him to be back because it almost looked like we were down two solid defensemen, as much as problems as some of them have. When you look at the depths, there's a lot of average defensemen in the Marlies system. And I mean, that's common for a lot of teams. You can't have 7, 8, 9, top 4 defensemen. But once you lose 2, it's a big deal. So I'm glad to see him that he's at least at practice.
Yeah, you can't have 41-year-old Mark Giordano logging 20 minutes a night, on a second pair like he was before. That just can't happen. You need him to be there with, you need McCabe back as quick as possible. And then losing Liljegren on top of that, who's going to play?
Yeah.
So, is you're going to have Simon Benoit and William Lagesson as those replacements. So then you have Gio and Klingberg as your second pair. And that's just scary. We do not want that.
Yeah, so you could bump Klingberg up, but Gio, you need to keep the minutes lower. So
I think having Lily back is massive, huge. Just to have a guy, it doesn't even matter what side he plays on. Just at least he can go log some minutes. Because, again, I'm stoked to see what William Lagesson's going to be. I'm not joking around here. I think the kid's going to be good. He's not flashy, and I think that's what's great about him. He seems to be in the right spot. He's got a solid stick. One knack against Liljegren is that his stick isn't solid. He whiffs a lot of passes, and a lot of passes hit his stick and go over them. He doesn't have soft hands. Their hands of stone. Where it seems like William Lagesson really can receive and make a pass well, which is huge. And he skates well. So it'd be good to have him on the third pairing, maybe getting some minutes. But as soon as you start losing another guy, well then, oh my God, what happens if Gio blocks a shot and has to sit a game even? What do we do? God forbid. But what if that happens? Then who's playing where? We're going to have half of Marley's squad here because everybody's hurt before 10 games. Thank God he's back.
Yeah, need that depth. don't want to kill Gio, and Lily's a guy. I mean, I think he's a guy, and it's great. Yeah, great that he's back for you guys. Lagesson, also exciting. Leafs have earned a 7 of a possible 10 points on their 5-game road trip. We got a tweet from Edna Garrett. So the Leafs are 9th for lowest shots against average per game. Not a bad start. Aren't they really bad defensively, though? She says, facts never support this myth. So, CP, what about Toronto's defense worries you?
I think the biggest thing is there's no real shutdown pair, and we're currently using our best offensive defenseman as that shutdown player. And as a committee,
they're 9th best in the league doing it. They're upper third of the league doing it.
Yeah, the top line with Riley and Brody has been great. We thought that this was like Brody with diminished returns this year, but he seems to be just keeping up just fine. I think that you would like, though, that the second pair could be that have someone of substance to just be a shutdown guy. And maybe it is that if the Leafs are just missing one solid defenseman that you can really rely on, and then we might look at this differently. And especially because that 9th might turn into a 5th, and then you can actually stand behind it. But I think at this point, it's too much by committee, and every great team has that shutdown player.
It would be really nice if a guy with the archetype of Simon Benoit,
yeah,
because the way he plays, if he could actually play positive minutes, it would be really nice to have a big, mean bugger in the back end there to just shut things down, stay at home, and make people's lives miserable. I think that would be really, really good for the Leafs. I think that's exactly what they need.
Yeah, Benoit got a slow start in camp. He missed almost all of camp, and I think that's been his it's hard to get going when you're a fringe player. And so when I saw him in the first few times, I was really cheering for him just based on his size, and that he's a committed player.
He's so physical.
Yeah, he's committed to that way of playing. So I was excited for him. He didn't look great in the times that we saw him, but maybe he's in better shape now. And if we did see him, that he'd do better. Because there's going to be at least a game or two here where they'll need a defenseman because McCabe's not coming back right away. Hopefully McCabe's on the ice sometime this week, but there's still a spot to kind of preview one of these guys.
Yeah, man.
That's a good point. I mean, if all those guys are down, who penalty kills?
Well, right. Benoit would be a great one. That's supposed to be what he is, and so ideally that he can come and show that he can do that. Lagesson's not really a penalty killer, and the other guy, Max Lajoie, he's an offensive defenseman too, and he would be, I think, the third guy if there was a third one called up. So yeah, there's really only one of those three as a penalty killer, and it's Benoit.
I see that. Let's see what Keefe has to say about the Leafs' power play.
It's a work in progress for us here, right? There's, certainly Gio's got to get that stick for us, but there's some things happened before that allow the puck even to get into that space. So yeah, it's a work in progress. A lot of ways we're trying to manufacture penalty killers here. We're giving guys opportunities that they haven't had before, whether it's Nyes, who's new to the league, or other guys that we've talked about that haven't killed a lot, and it's going to take some time. The only way to get through it is to have some struggles like this. That's just part of the process.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the PK at all. It's something that the Leafs have figured out how to do many years before. You have one of the best penalty killers in Mitch Marner, and one of the other best, David Kampf. And I think that by end of season, it's going to be cleaned up. And especially Matthew Nyes is a guy I didn't expect to be on the penalty kill, and he has looked fine. I think that he does have the hustle and the body for the body type that he has. It's sometimes tough for big guys to do that job, but he's doing it fine. So I think it's just practice makes perfect with the PK.
Well, that's the thing. It's all about defensemen, right? So It's if we're talking what if Gio goes down? Now it's great to have the forwards all covered. William Nylander's been penalty killing. Austin Matthews has been penalty killing. But what about the defensemen? Like you said, you have nobody to PK if those guys don't come back. Lily spent time on the PK.
Yeah. Most of the defensive breakdowns have been because of the forwards, though. Like the wide open nets that they've had, it's because the forwards don't really know where to be, or they've committed to like the one time two guys committed to the corner when they shouldn't have. So I think the defense, we have guys like Brody and Gio, McCabe. They're pretty good penalty killers. But I think it's putting it all together.
Yeah,
and
McCabe's not here. And then, like I
I
say,
know.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So we're just so thin. They just
It
need
is.
another, they actually just legit need another guy on the back end.
Yeah, someone else maybe. And CP, you said you feel a trade coming any day now. Why is that?
Yeah, like I think that this wasn't supposed to be the same defensive group coming into this season. And I think Brad Treliving's had enough time to see the team and the problems that it has. And he loves a tough defenseman. And so I think that looking at this team, it's not there. And so I feel like that trade is going to be sooner rather than later, especially with
Nikita
some
Zadorov?
injuries. Yes, please. I would just
I
love
think I
that
could
guy.
see that happening.
Yeah.
Calgary's really struggling. He's yipping.
And
The only
Brad
thing
Treliving
is
already
they're
called
going to
about
have to
him.
tell him, you got to reel that in. If you're going to come to Toronto, you can't do that here. You'll
Yeah.
create a mess. Like this
Yeah,
whole place
we
will
have-
be blown to pieces. It'll be bedlam. Like,
Yeah.
no. But he's exactly the type of guy that I was saying. If he could play a little, which Zadorov, he constantly loses his minutes. But he does play a role. He does.
Yeah.
He does make a difference. He makes an impact when he's out on the ice, right? He's doing things that change the temperature of the game. So you need a guy like that who you can actually put out for legit minutes, even if it's on the third pairing.
And I think he's never been a negative player in his entire career. So like he's a guy that keeps the puck out of the net. He needs probably a good
Yeah,
partner
his
to move the
fancies
puck.
aren't very good, though. I don't think the nerds love him very much.
No, well, I'm not a guy that really fancies the nerds that much either. So
Oh, well, that's why we're on different sides.
that's right.
Boots on the ground, he says.
That's right. Butts and seats.
Yeah, butts and seats. That's all I care about, is butts and seats.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's too funny.
So anything else we have on the Leafs, or do we want to flip over to Avs?
The one thing that I forgot to do going into this game, because I was so concentrated on the players that have been on Nashville's before, that I forgot about Ryan O'Reilly is definitely going to score against the Leafs. And I'm someone who sometimes puts a happiness hedge bet in there, so at least I'm happy about something if the Leafs lose. But I forgot to, unfortunately, and he
Should have
cashed
done
in
that.
twice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Imagine the money on him to score twice. That would have been good odds. You'd have made some serious money.
Yeah,
Especially
for
if you
sure.
had the cojones to drop actual money on there instead of a $2 bet.
Yeah, I like the $5 hedge bet. That's normally where I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So you're trying to buy a win. So like when the Leafs get into the playoff series a few years ago, had I have known and had I been into betting, when they played the Habs, I would have bet the Habs every single game. And not just because they won, but because I dislike the Habs so strongly that I would do anything. I would pay the amount of money that I could afford to just get the Leafs to win. Because if they don't, then at least I make a whole ton of money back and it's not so bad. I know a guy off Leafs Twitter. I won't say his name, but he dropped $5,000 on Tampa Bay Lightning to beat the Leafs a couple of years ago when they did.
Wow.
And he's got so much money. He loaded, okay? And that's kind of his thing. But average dude, but freaking loaded. Loaded. So $5,000 drop in the bucket, but that's a lot of money return. Right?
Yeah.
So
Big time.
he's like, and people are like, are you nuts? And he's like, I think he's quite a little bit older, maybe in his 40s or whatever. He's like, I've been waiting for a Leafs win since I was 7 years old. I would pay $5,000 again tomorrow for the
Right.
Leafs to win a round.
Yeah.
Like, let's get her done. So yeah, happiness hedge, that makes a lot of sense. I don't usually do them, but it definitely has a lot of logistic behind it.
Yeah, I refuse to do it in the playoffs, but I can't even count on two hands the amount of people that I know that bet on Florida just this past year. And, they were still upset, but they were pretty twisted inside because their bank accounts were a lot bigger.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
See, I should have bet on the Buffalo goalie against the Avs. Is what I should have
Yeah,
done.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
here's a stat. Let's flip over to Avs. Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche, who were 6-1-0, won 19 of their last 23 games against the Buffalo Sabres, dating back to 2007.
Yeah.
Right? All the way from
Yeah.
2007 till now, they've won 19 of 23 games. That's nuts. Lost 4 times. In that span, since he was drafted, Nathan MacKinnon has 9 goals and 21 points over the 14 career games that he's played against them. So you think
That's great.
it's going to be a good night. The lines
I
they
thought
lined
so.
up. They lined up a little differently, a little bit of the same. So Lex is now full time on the top line. Lehkonen, McKinnon, Nichushkin is the top line. Rantanen was down on the second line with Johansson and Drouin.
Yeah.
Now, first thing I want to ask you is, how did you feel about Rantanen, Johansson, and Drouin?
I think another good changeup that had to happen because we went scoreless against Pittsburgh with a changeup there, and we've reunited that gem of a third line with Wood, Colton, and Tatar. So
I think that looks good. Yeah.
Yeah,
For a third.
exactly. Yeah, with Drouin down there, we had Tatar up on the second, and we were really mixing things up. This is just a pretty normal switch here. We basically have switched the wingers on the first 2 lines is how we started the year. It was McKinnon with Drouin and Rantanen, and now we've got, and then on the second line we had Lehkonen and Nichushkin, and then we've just swapped all those wingers. I think that's a way better changeup.
Yeah,
But
just kind of
did it work
dividing the
against
heat out.
Buffalo? I can't really speak to that too well because it didn't seem too great.
Yeah, so let's get into that. Let me set this up. So Don Granato put Eric Johnson in the starting lineup against the Avs. Former Av Eric Johnson, who won the cup with the team, who'd been there for a decade. He actually was signed, or he was drafted by St. Louis or something way back in. He's first overall pick, Columbus or something crazy. I can't even remember. St. Louis. Yeah, I got it right the first time. But 2006,
Yep.
long time ago, he's been in the league. And also Tyson Jost scored in that game. You remember him? Former Av.
I do.
Yeah,
I like
Av
Tyson.
legend. He put them up 3-0. And that actually had the Avs allow 7 consecutive goals to their opponents.
Yeah.
Without one back.
Yep.
So things haven't been going well for the Avs, Ted. What the heck's happening over there? Where did the goals go?
I don't know, man. This really shocked me. When it happened against Pittsburgh, we lost 4-0 against Pittsburgh. It was like a little bit of shell shock. I was like, okay, well, this definitely won't happen again. I would have put money on the fact that Nathan MacKinnon would not go another night. And the whole team, not only Nathan MacKinnon, but Rantanen, Lehkonen, Nichushkin, no one put up points. Cale Makar, both games, no points, nothing. Man, I wish I had an explanation because I would fly
Did they
down
look
to
like
Denver
they were
and talk to
was it an
Bednar.
effort thing? Was it an effort thing or just an execution thing? They just weren't getting it in. Plays were there. Was it sloppy passing? What did you see out of all those?
What I know that the guys are trying. I mean, they've always got that. McKinnon's crazy. McKinnon's I can see the anger. You can see steam coming off that guy's ears.
Did he
half
break a
the game.
stick?
Not in the game. And then
Good on him.
yeah, he knows how to keep it in check. Does it at practice. So yeah, the guys, they're out there. I mean, they get a lot of shots. I don't want to say we got goalied, but oh my God, that kid played really well. And again,
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yeah.
Remember that name.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge, probably, maybe.
Average goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone calls him 6K because there's 6 Ks in his name, I guess. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. There's 2 Ks in each thing, so they call him 6K.
That's all he's going to
he's
get
an
in
okay
the
goalie.
NHL.
Yeah, have a cool nickname.
Or
Right.
maybe that's
But
just
yeah,
'cause he's only going to get a 6K contract when he goes to MHL.
Yeah, 6K. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't sound too much of a high-paying name, but
I guess he probably
it's
not the
logical.
NHL, it'll be the VHL. I'm thinking whatever the underneath the KHL is. I think underneath the K is the VHL, and then I think their junior is MHL.
Oh wow!
Look at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'll be over
know
there
you're Russian,
making $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
Maybe he's lucky.
That's why they call him 6K. Yeah, exactly. So Cale Makar took a pretty nasty hit.
Oh, yeah.
did he ever?
Scary moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It wasn't as much nasty hit as nasty fall. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which he even went on to say. We've got a tweet from him. He said, I'll read this one. He said, I think a lot of it is on me. Just going back slow, no effort. I tried to take a stride in front, and I don't know if I caught myself or what happened, but the next thing I knew, I was sliding on the boards. So, yeah. And then Makar's teammates in Bednar didn't like the hit, obviously.
Oh, no, they didn't.
No. But that's so typical Cale. Do you remember when he got called for, like, the other team took a penalty against Colorado for tripping, and Cale went up to the ref.
Yeah.
And he's like he didn't trip me. He's like I just
I
He
remember
did that during the game
Yeah.
too.
yeah
Yeah.
What a legit guy.
I know.
Oh,
So for
man.
him to say this, that quote I just read, I mean, that's exactly what I'd expect from Makar. Is to be like, you know what, a lot of it is on me. So
Yeah,
and
good on him.
Kyle Opozo, he spoke to Cale Makar briefly after the game and explained that he wasn't trying to push him or apply pressure to cause that collision with the end boards. Opozo tried a stick lift and then intended to skate around Makar to the right. And Opozo is relieved that Makar is okay, obviously, as
Nice.
we all are.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be hated, A, and also B, like, it's just another hockey player, and, like, dude, like, as much as you want to hurt the competition, like, you don't really want to hurt the competition. Like, I want you to be, like, out for this game. I want you to be fine for the next one. I just want you to be
Yeah.
out for this game. Just, like,
Especially-
all messed up, and, I can't come back, and the next game, you're, like, fine, rocking, flying, backflips. Like, good. I don't want to actually mess your life up. Just take care of the game. Right?
Yeah.
It's a fine line.
And not only is he a very important part of my fantasy team, but he's an important part of the NHL league, right? Like, he's good for hockey. Nobody wants him to be out of the league too long. So it was good to see that I wasn't too serious. In the moment, though, I was about to flip my desk. I thought that Okposo was trying to take out my best player. But it wasn't that much, but McKinnon really took something. Like, he didn't know that it wasn't like that, right? Until they kicked him out.
Yeah.
I can see Craig. He gets up and he's, hey, what are you doing? Hey, that's my best fantasy player.
Yeah. He's holding his phone up. Do you not see? Have you not seen my lineup, Cale?
Just
This
yelling
guy?
at the TV and pointing. Yeah.
Yeah, I show my phone to the TV too.
Yeah. Look at it. Look, yeah.
This is the guy you just took out.
Yeah.
Oh.
So good. Oh, that's awesome. So Nate McKinnon took an unsportsmanlike penalty, got a 2-minute unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and then a 10-minute misconduct. Why don't you tell me what happened there, Ted?
He basically saw it in the moment, thought it was a lot more than it was, like you were saying, CP. And, he had his words with the ref. I don't know exactly what he said, obviously. But I'm sure he said something that warranted that. I would have loved to hear them mic'd up. I'm sure there's a few expletives.
Yeah. I would love for that not to be Nathan McKinnon having that conversation. Why isn't there someone
I would
else on
not
the
want to be
Avs?
the referee. Could you
Yeah.
imagine being the referee with Nathan McKinnon screaming at you? Like,
Well, I'm just
these
saying
guys, I
that
know these guys are jacked
is-
and they're big and whatever, but like, holy, sometimes you're like, hey, like this guy though, he's fiery.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm just
like
saying that this is something Landeskog would be handling in the past,
100%.
right?
Yeah, but
And-
I mean, like, McKinnon's not the captain. He doesn't do that stuff. It's by committee. So, like, the committee should be doing this stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the problem here is that
Yeah,
he's
sometimes
not
it's
used
Makar
to doing
steps
it.
up and talks to the
and when
ref,
it's not addressing
like I said
him-
earlier.
Well, then
in the
maybe
show.
get somebody who is used to doing it and do a good job.
Yeah, like Makar
And-
does it a lot
yeah.
of times. Rantanen's
Right.
done it. They all do it.
See, like if
Like,
Makar
I don't
wasn't
know,
the guy
you
in the
definitely
corner
don't watch
down,
enough Avs games.
Yeah.
It's
no,
not
no,
just
but why? No,
McKinnon.
I'm saying, but in that moment, if you didn't like if McKinnon lost it and he shouldn't have been there, why didn't they get another one of the committee to come and maybe take over a little cooler of a head? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe Rantanen isn't. Maybe McKinnon's not the worst. Maybe that's why they all get along so well. They're all just like blow a gasket all the time, and they're just like, you know what? I get it, bro. I love you, bro.
The beauty thing is he has that star thing. He can get away with some things, and obviously there's times like this where he's going to say things though that still get him that 10-minute misconduct, because they can all overstep a line. And did Nate do it? Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I wonder if Makar would have been the cooler head to go and talk to him, but it was an incident that happened to him.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I wonder, could it be Rantanen or who else would be in that leadership squad? It's just
O'Connor's their best player, so it should probably be him.
It could be him.
For frig's sakes, man.
Gabe Landeskog's he's a big miss, and like they miss him a lot in that spot there, right? Like they obviously miss him on the ice. They're making do though. They're playing great, even though they've lost 2, shutout in both, unfortunately.
Ugh.
They're still 6-3-0 or something right now.
6-2-0.
6-2-0. So there you go. Like they're doing great. They had a great start to the season with or without.
They were
him.
undefeated.
It's these moments right here where Nate McKinnon wouldn't take the 10, right? He wouldn't. He might take it. They might even give him a 2 for lipping off, and Gabe reels him in, takes him back to the bench or something. Hey, buddy, I got this. I got it. I get it. I'm on your side. I get it. He puts him in, reels him in, goes and deals with the refs. That's his job. Cooler heads prevail, and maybe that could have happened. But Jared Bednar, he didn't like the refs penalizing McKinnon. His quote was, "I'd just like the officials to have thicker skin in that spot. They know they may have missed one or decided not to call one, whatever it is. I think you've got to take a bit of a harsh feedback in that situation." So, like, I mean, like, heat of the moment, maybe take a little bit more. I wasn't there. I don't know what was said, and I don't even know if in that moment Jared Bednar heard what was said. But but that's his quote, so obviously he must know a little bit of the context and doesn't think, well, that wasn't that bad. You know?
Yeah.
He might have been blowing a gasket, but understand that I was on the ice with my best defenseman, my buddy, my cup-winning, other franchise player. It's crazy that Colorado has 2. The second franchise player of the team has just gotten messed up, and I didn't get it. There's no call, right? So it's like, I don't know.
But there shouldn't have been a call. When you watch it back, it's not a penalty. Like, he toe-picked, basically.
We see that, when you watch it back. But in the moment when you're on the ice.
Yeah, but Bednar, when he says
pushes
this,
him. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's looking at the perspective of Nate McKinnon on the ice in the moment. So you have to understand that, like, Nate McKinnon's going to go and lose his mind because he didn't go and watch the replay and go, kill you, toe-picked, you poor punk. Like, it's whatever. It's him losing it because in the heat of the moment, it looked like a guy just took one of his best players, a vital part of that team, and his friend down to the boards and potentially hurt him. Right? So that was the big issue at the time. That's why he lost it, which I kind of I can agree with and understand with that. In the heat of the moment, you're going to go and you're going to yell. You're going to be, why didn't you call that? Obviously, you got to reel it in a little bit.
Just don't break a stick, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go smashing things or anything. Like throw the ref up against the boards, whack him up against the helmet or something. You can't do that. But I mean, like to go and angrily ask why something didn't happen.
I think it was a bit more than that.
Yeah, well, that's the summary in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, we don't know.
I can understand it. Yeah. We don't exactly know. So yeah, the Avs lost 4-0 to Buffalo on their last game. 2 shutouts back to back, which I said multiple times. Not
say it again.
Reaction from you.
Say it again.
But the record is 6-2-0, and the next team they play is a mid St. Louis on Wednesday. So they're probably going to go 7-2-0, and you really now have not much to worry about, right?
Yeah, bring it on, St. Louis.
Per the Avs, the last time the Avalanche were shut out in back-to-back contests was during the 2016-17 season, which was December 20th versus Minnesota and December 22nd versus Toronto. Yeah, boy! Gotcha.
No.
We're finally on the good side of one of those. We're never on the good side of those.
I've never read one of those with us being on the good side.
Yeah! I had to say it. I read it. I was like, wow! We're that Toronto. That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Way to make the Avs segment about Leafs.
It's all about the Leafs. Everything's all about. How does this affect the Leafs? Is what I'd really like to know. Whatever the
let's
Avs
break
do,
that
I just
down.
want to know how it affects the Leafs. So
Yes.
I
Okay.
think that's the best way to look at it. So we're going to talk Kingston Frontenac next, and how that affects the Leafs. So why don't we start out that they had a good start to the new coach. Great start, in fact. I'm sure practice went well. They won their first game. It was 4-3. The shots on goal were 26-28. They got outshot, but I mean, whatever. The penalty minutes were a lot lower. They only had 17 penalty minutes, and this was playing against the Generals. That would have been the Friday game. They went 3 for 5 on the power play. Everything looked good. 50% from the face-off circle as a team. It looked good, right? Then the end of the game, I guess we'll jump in. Linus Hemstrom, excuse me. He took home the play of the game because he scored the game-winning goal on the power play. So Linus Hemstrom, he's been on fire. He's the Kingston Frontenac's import player from Sweden. And he's definitely making waves. I wonder if and when he ends up in the NHL. I'm sure he's going to be drafted in a couple of years. He's just big and strong and plays the game a really good way. And he's putting pucks in the net, so you have to think that they're going to take a look at him.
For sure. We got to get him on the show before he goes big time. Then we'll have his number when he is.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully he speaks English, too. I saw them in an interview. So, Linus, if you ever see this, we'd love to see you. We'd love to have you on. You look great, kid, and we want to talk about it. So, but at the end of the game, what we all really want to talk about, some ish went down due to an on-ice altercation following the final whistle in last night's game. This is from Saturday. Between the Kingston Frontenacs and the Oshawa Generals, 2 suspensions were handed down from the Ontario Hockey League to the Kingston Frontenacs. You go, 2 guys got into it, there was a scuffle, and they both got suspended.
You'd think.
So Maddox Callens will receive a 2-game suspension for leaving the bench early at the end of the game. In doing so, this has automatically resulted in a matching 2-game suspension for brand new head coach Troy Mann.
That's got to suck.
That's awful.
Oh, my God.
I can't believe that.
I know. The coach has got to be like, kid, you owe me a beer, breakfast. You got to.
You're skating the next day.
Yeah,
hard.
How many laps?
Even more than that. We can't go back. They're out, right? So I mean, after the skate, he owes him more than that. Well, we're suspended. You have to take care of me now, you dummy. That was ridiculous. Go and talk to his dad. It's legit.
What's the credit card number?
Yeah, bro, your son. Anyways, that's probably the best part about junior hockey is that these are kids and they're so unpredictable, and anything could happen between these kids when they lose their mind. Their frontal lobe hasn't fully developed. They're not quite there. Their decision making isn't as far ahead isn't as developed. I just didn't want to say
an adult,
as an adult,
yeah.
And they will just act impulsively, like jumping off the bench at the end of a game to go in to get into a scuffle,
and not knowing that repercussions look bad on a coach to some people. And I bet there are a lot of people in the league who totally understand that angle you're explaining. That these are just kids. Troy just got the crap end of the stick there.
You gotta have better control of your bench. But I mean, you're like, hey, Maddox, hey.
Yeah. Oh, he's gone. He's down the hallway.
What are you gonna do?
He's already out on the ice in the middle of a scrum.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? I'm in dress shoes.
Yeah. What am I gonna?
What do you want me to do? Run it on the ice? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't whistle, but what are you gonna do? Whistle after him? Come on, let's go, Matty, come on. Oh, smoke. So this is from the opposition. Generals Live, they were at Generals Updates, obviously from the other team, is so great. Maddox Callens, who has 1 point, 0 goals, in 11 games as an overager, comes off the Kingston bench after the final buzzer for some reasons and enters the scrum. I guess the argument is it doesn't matter for Kingston if he's playing the next 2 games or not, but that was dumb.
Wow.
That's some heat.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's an actual testament to the depth and that Maddox isn't one of the guys. He's an overager and he's still just playing. He's going to end up in the no-show here in in a few years, the senior hockey organization. But I don't know if that's a sarcasm or a knock on him that way, or like I don't know whether he's praising the praising the Kings of Frontenacs at all. I don't know. I can't quite read it because it's the internet. But
fair.
I can't imagine that anybody in the organization, except for maybe his teammates, is thrilled with Maddox right now. And I can't imagine that any of his teammates, if he had a legitimate reason, have a problem with him at all. They're probably like, nope. I mean, somebody had to do it, man. It wasn't me. I still get a chance. I'm doing fine. So
yeah.
But Maddox,
all the teammates are kids too.
Yeah, right.
It might be a role that. Yeah, might be a role that he's new to as like an overager too. Like, he might have been a guy that wasn't, not a fighter or anything before. I don't know his story too much, but it's just so impulsive to jump over the boards like at the end of the game. Like,
I mean, you don't know what was said though. You kind of have to wonder what was said or who was on who, or right. I didn't get to watch the actual clip of it, but I wonder if something was said earlier in the game that really warrants it. Because if it was the NHL, a story like this would come out, right? If a guy in the NHL jumped the boards at the end of the game and went and got into a fight, which we all know is against the rules, that would be a huge story. But it doesn't happen, right? It never has happened. We don't know because of the lack of coverage in the OHL what was said. If it had happened in the NHL, we would right away know why he said that. And even some other higher leagues, and even if it was bad enough, sometimes that stuff comes out. Like there's racism and other things that have come out.
And they go big national stories.
Ice.
Yeah,
national stories, huge talk. But we don't know. We have no idea why he lost his mind. So maybe he had good reason.
Yeah, I guess so. Right.
Maybe he had good reason. You don't know what the other guy did, right? Like, I mean, it's not like he's like freaking out because the ice was crappy. Anyways, I think that's a wrap.
And Maddox just had to go in and say some stuff.
Yeah, he was just really upset with the refs. He didn't even want to talk to the other team. He just had to go and speak with the refs about the poor ice conditions, which is what you should do. Anyways. All right, well, that was great. Another edition of the Amherst Island Split the Defense Hockey Podcast. We love you all. We'll see you all back here on Amherst Island Radio next Tuesday. And we'll be back Friday in podcast form on YouTube and all your audio podcasting platforms. We will catch you then. Peace.
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 You've been listening to
Split the Defense,
where Jordan Webster, Ted Evans, and Craig Pearce talk about the NHL and all things hockey.
Split the Defense
Can be found wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. It's also broadcasted on Amherst Island Radio, 101.3 FM, and online at CJAI.CA.